Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video I'll be breaking down the return and heavyweight debut of Alexander Gustafsson as he takes on former heavyweight champion and all-time great Fabricio Werdum, and this is a very, very key fight for both of these gentlemen in their careers if they want to have any real prospects of a future in UFC and in mixed martial arts in general. Now, what's interesting coming into this fight is that Alexander Gustafsson is still a very, very young man. He's still only 33 years old, and you would argue that he's got tons of years ahead of him. In a lot of cases, a lot of fighters have their best years ahead of them at 33 years old. I think that Yoel didn't even really get fighting until he was 34, 35 years old, so that's very, very key to note. But Gustafsson's at a very different stage in his career. He's obviously been around for a little while. He's experienced some stuff. He's had some highs, you know, that first fight with John Jones, and some really lows, getting submitted by Anthony Smith, and he's had long layoffs after long layoffs. He hasn't been very active, and at 33 there's a lot of people questioning if he should be making his return at all. But returning at heavyweight might reinvigorate him. The weight cut's obviously not going to be a nice thing to keep doing as you lose your passion for the sport, and he fights a former heavyweight champion in a division where really outside of Francis Ngannou and Curtis Blades, you can put yourself in line for a title shot maybe 2-3 wins from now. So it's a very good opportunity. For Fabricio Werdum, he's obviously coming off that steroid suspension layoff. He lost his first fight back to Alexander Gustafsson in what was a really, really poor performance. And at 42 years old, you've got to wonder if he's got anything left. And if he has got anything left, now's the time to show it in a really key and important fight against a really respected and known opponent in Alexander Gustafsson. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this and let's break this one down. As mentioned, Gustafsson's still only 33 years old. Still got tons of years, but in 5 years he's had tons of fights, had 24 fights, taken tons of damage, been in wars. Also motivation is an issue, so 33 is 33, but I don't know what mental state he's in. We're going to have to watch and see. For Fabricio Werdum, whilst he seems as motivated as ever to keep fighting, he is 42 years old. He looked terrible in his last fight in my opinion, and I don't think it's that easy to rebound at his age, given the fact that he has had these injuries, these suspensions. What has Fabricio Werdum got left to fight for as well? So at 42, why is Werdum still doing this? That's a question. So the age is something that we've got to consider coming into this fight. Alexander Gustafsson has a professional record of 18 wins and 6 losses, and he fights Fabricio Werdum, who has a professional record of 23 wins, 9 losses and 1 draw. Both of these guys are very experienced fighters. They've both been there in main events. They both fought for world titles. Werdum's of course won world title, and experience shouldn't be a factor in this fight at all. Despite being the man who fought at 205, Gustafsson's going to be the taller man, who's going to enjoy some reach advantage over him. Gustafsson stands at 6'5", which is an inch taller than the 6'4" Fabricio Werdum, but he'll enjoy a nice 2-inch reach advantage with a 79-inch reach as opposed to Fabricio Werdum's 77-inch reach. Now, what's key about that is that Fabricio Werdum's mostly a boxer. Not Fabricio Werdum. Alexander Gustafsson's mostly a boxer, so he's going to utilize his boxing advantage. Now, Werdum does like to mix it up with the Muay Thai, but I think on the feet that Gustafsson's going to enjoy a decisive advantage. To describe this style, is obviously Alexander Gustafsson at his best is a footwork-based boxer who's got great defensive wrestling. He throws in some good teeps, got some good kicks to the head and stuff like that. But where he shines in the stand-up is most certainly with his hands. He's got really, really good boxing, and he's really good at putting combinations together on his feet and moving out of angles and making it hard for his opponents to hit him. Whereas Fabricio Werdum, he's got that decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and he can submit tons and tons of people. He's also a really good Muay Thai fighter with great kicks, great knees, great elbows. He's a brilliant fighter when it comes to putting it all together. He's well-rounded. In his heyday, this is not his heyday though, so let's see how this fight plays out. The key wins for Alexander Gustafsson is interesting because some of the guys that he's beaten has aged really, really well. So he's obviously beating guys like Glove Teixeira, who's gone 4 in a row currently. He's a top contender. He beat Jan Blachowicz, which is another top contender. He's beaten Thiago Silva back in the days when Thiago Silva was a top contender. He beat Shogun Rua and Jimmy Manua, all top contenders. And some of his best performances were actually losing fights. The first fight of John Jones, the fight with Daniel Cormier. Despite losing those fights, those are 2 fights that he's really respected for. So he's got a great resume. Fabricio Werdum's resume, on the other hand, is legendary. I mean, you can go all the way back to the early 2000s and he was beating key opponents. So we're talking, he's beaten the likes of Alistair Overeem, which was an incredible win. He beat Brandon Vera back when Brandon Vera was the man. And Brandon Vera is still the man, great guy. Then he's obviously beaten the likes of Roy Nelson, Fedor Emelianenko, actually the man who's to stop Fedor Emelianenko's undefeated streak. He's beaten Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, an all-time great as well. He's beaten Cain Velasquez, an all-time great heavyweight. He's beaten so many good fighters, Moshin Tabora more recently. You know, that's still a young guy who's still around top 10. You got to still give him respect for getting those wins. So Travis Brown, so many good wins for Fabricio Werdum. So, you know, you got to give a lot of credit to where credit's due, and he's a very, very respected and talented fighter. The issue for Gustafsson is going to be his layoff coming into this fight, and is his motivation truly back, or is he fighting for money? I don't think it's the latter, but you never know, and you got to question if that is the case. And if that is the case, his performance will no doubt not be the best performance that he's going to put out there, because the reasons, the incentive for fighting isn't correct. For Fabricio Werdum, the biggest issue is going to be his age. I've always felt like Fabricio Werdum's a slower fighter, and I think Gus is going to enjoy a decisive speed advantage, which is of course going to be Gustafsson's X factor. Is going to be his speed advantage and his crisp boxing, his footwork. That's going to be his biggest X factor against a stationary, slow 42-year-old Fabricio Werdum, whose biggest X factor is going to be his BJJ and you know, his wrestling. And if he can get this down, and it's easier said than done, and the fact that he's a heavyweight, he's a true heavyweight, he's got a lot of experience at heavyweight, he's been around at heavyweight for a long time. So how's Gus going to deal with the new weight class, and how is it going to impact Fabricio Werdum? Let's get into the prediction. This is quite an easy one for me to predict, in my opinion. I don't mean that no disrespect to Fabricio Werdum. I think you guys know which way I'm leaning on this, but I felt like Fabricio Werdum looked terrible in his last fight. I didn't feel like his stand-up looked good. I felt like his timing was off. I felt like getting outstruck by the boa constrictor, no disrespect to Alexei Oleinik, that's not a good look for anyone really. And I think if you're getting outstruck by the boa constrictor, you're going to have a really bad time with Alexander Gustafsson. I know what you're thinking. Wow, how do you compare those two? Their striking styles obviously is completely different, but technical proficiency of Alexander Gustafsson compared to Alexei Oleinik is just mind-blowing. And then when you compare the stand-up between what Fabricio Werdum showed in his last fight to what Alexander Gustafsson has shown us, it's very interesting. Now the weight cut is going to be the interesting thing. Not cutting weight, and how's he dealing with heavyweight? How's he going to deal with the impact of being hit by Fabricio Werdum, or Fabricio Werdum trying to take him down? How's he going to deal with all of that? The answer to that is I don't know. Those are all unknowns. But what I do know, and I can only go based on what I do know, coming into this fight, you got a 33-year-old fighting a 42-year-old. In his last performance, the 42-year-old looked terrible. The 33-year-old Gustafsson didn't look the best against Anthony Smith, but what he's always had is been great boxing, great footwork. Stylistically, this is a good matchup for Alexander Gustafsson, even when these both were at their best. So given the time and place that this fight is happening, given the scenario, I'm going to lean on Alexander Gustafsson to be able to outmove Fabricio Werdum, utilize his boxing, shake off the rust, and, you know, kind of cruise to a decision. I'm not expecting fireworks. I'm not expecting Fabricio Werdum to get smoked, or, you know, Gustafsson come out there looking like a top contender at heavyweight. I'm expecting him to win a fairly uneventful fight, utilizing his movement and boxing. It's going to be interesting to see how Fabricio Werdum deals with that. But fight fans, for my official prediction, I'm going with Alexander Gustafsson to get the win by utilizing his boxing. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Remember to comment below and let me know what you thought about the breakdown and how you see this fight going. If you enjoyed the content, remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, I'm Rohan, and this is Mindful Combat.